for the life of me, and this is just political judgment. The Obama administration, when they offered her the job, looked at the foundation and said, boy, there's going to be the appearance of influence. We better be careful here. Dick Lugar, at the time ranking member of Foreign Relations, even said very publicly, you know, it's going to look like foreign governments can buy access to you because of the foundation. How many more warnings did the Clintons need to have, and yet they ended up doing these things?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to them. What difference does it make, Chuck? Chuck. Chris is our guest. That was Chuck. Chris Farrell, Director of Investigation, Judicial Watch, former U.S. Intelligence Analyst. Hello, Chris.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Okay, so you guys at Judicial Watch got about 126 pages of documents from the State Department related to Hillary's possible conflicts during her time as head of the State Department?
Yeah, among others also. I mean, there's a raft of papers we obtained concerning Bill Clinton's speaking engagements around the world. And this is where the 2 points intersect, right? He's running around the world giving speeches, being paid millions of dollars. She's sitting as Secretary of State, and we're supposed to pretend that there's no conflict of interest there. And they set up this phony double check system, or this sort of disclosure system. And every time Bill Clinton went running around the world to some corporation or some foreign government to provide them with his insightful advice about something, they were supposed to clear it through the State Department. And he did so 200 and some odd times. And guess how many times they said, no, you can't do that?
None.
Correct. 0. So he's lining his pockets with cash. Foreigners interpret that as him being the cutout for his wife, which I don't think it's unfair to conclude. And she's sitting as the Secretary of State, tacitly approving things like turning over 20% of our uranium to the Russians.
I mean, boy, the stench is overwhelming. Let me ask you specifically, getting back to Bill Clinton. I mean, as far as I know, Bill Clinton had been out of the White House for, let's see, 2000 to about 8 years or so, or 9 years when Hillary became Secretary of State. He wasn't getting that amount of money in the immediate aftermath of his presidency, but lo and behold, all of a sudden, the interest peaked in Bill Clinton's to the point of $500,000 or $300,000 a speech, which on its face stinks. But what about the documents revealing a concern about Bill Clinton's activities with Saudi entities?
Exactly. So if you look at our website, if you go there to judicialwatch.org, you can actually read the documents for yourself. But what they show is that at the Deputy Secretary level, there are emails, and the topics or the subject line of the emails and the introductory sentence or two talks about that there's concern about Bill Clinton's involvement with various Saudi entities. What they mean by that is both the government and their agencies of the government and private corporations, in particular one very large construction firm. So his interactions, his dealings, his payments with them, and how that would reflect back on the national interest, on our own country's interests. Now, the tough part of this is that almost the entirety of the email is redacted or blacked out, where you can't see precisely what the comments are. But that's what we're in court to fight over, and that's what we'll try to get released.
Wow, that is incredible. How culpable, and this is not an avenue that most people are going down, how culpable is the Obama administration for setting this thing up in the first place and allowing this to take place, even though the Clintons broke, apparently, the agreement in certain regards? That agreement was very unorthodox, wasn't it?
It's out of control. No one has ever had anything like it before. It's unprecedented. And frankly, the Senate takes a hit on this because they constructed this phony process and had the Senate said, well, look, if we're going to confirm you, there needs to be some kind of deconfliction. There's got to be an honest broker. There's got to be disclosure. And so everyone went through this sort of kabuki theater of pretending that they were doing all the right things. And the whole process was nothing but paper. It was a paper drill. It was
right.
There was nothing behind it. And no one called them on it until, frankly, we got involved.
Yep. Well, the Judicial Watch is great. Chris, thank you very much, as always, sir. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
All right, folks, Jamie Weinstein is next. But first, we're bringing back our viewer call-in segment here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So if you want to weigh in on the issues of the day, please, we want to hear from you, but we need to hear from you in advance. You can't just call in when we say or when you see us doing it. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to email us. Send an email to callsteve@newsmax.com. Callsteve@newsmax.com. We want to hear from you, folks, but you got to reach out to us. Put your contact information where we can reach you during the day, and someone will reach out to you because we at Newsmax want to hear from you. Don't go away.